Barrister Amirul Islam to deliver his speech on the basics of the laws, lives, and people. Give him a big hand, please.
And distinguished members of the faculty, and my very dear young generation of lawyers to become. It's a great privilege, I consider, to be here in this South University, my first visit, that I always admire the people who have such wonderful facilities to work and learn the law. Now, I always get very tempted when invited to such an occasion to interact with the young generations. So I told the distinguished professors who went to my chamber, inviting me to come for a lecture. I told that, I'd rather prefer to giving a very heavy stuff on them. But I thought that there's something that I need to share with the new generation. And I think I've done the right thing, as I'm further inspired by the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sharing with you some of the anecdotes and experiences that he encountered while he was in Australia. And that, I think, makes the intro for the subject that I am going to speak. That all the instances mentioned that the rule of law, and that whoever you may be, you are under the law. And that's the basic aspects of the law. That if you break the law, then it tends to demean the human person and demean the society, demean the system, and ultimately erode the civilization. How I compare the man-made law and the natural law. So if we see that we have a constitution, we have a huge volumes of laws that you can find on your bookshelves, but I think there are volumes in terms of the violation of law 100 times than the laws that you have on your bookshelves. So the violations is much more in volumes. And I thought that in order to highlight that, I'll share with you the experience of running this constitution. And this constitution is one of the best, among the best constitutions that you have. And we are the latest edition in that respect, that it was done in '72. Besides the other old constitutions starting from USA. So I wanted to show that how the constitution has become victim of the people of Bangladesh, or victim of the leaders of Bangladesh. So I put the headline, The Hazardous Journey of Bangladesh Constitution. So I'm going to read them. I'm going to skip the experience in 20 pages about the background of the constitutional system, how it was wrecked, both by the generals and also by the judges in Pakistan. And so that's the first thing. I've given the copies, so I think you'll be able to have the copies. I start from the Bangladesh as an independent country, 20 pages. People with an orderly and just government through a free and fair election. The heroic struggle for national liberation gave birth to Bangladesh, Its constitution is a solemn pledge for the people of Bangladesh in the name of the martyrs who sacrificed their lives in the war of liberation. And the Bangladesh Constitution made itself two: instrument for power to the people. So the entire concept of this constitution is to give power to the people. And how that empowerment can be achieved, and that can only be achieved if the people would be law-abiding. It is rather late in the day to suggest that the constitutional piece of legislation will displace one of the three structural pillars on which the mechanism of the constitution rests. Do you know which are the three main pillars of the constitution or the governance? Anyone would like to? Adopted, keeping in full view that the power of three organs of the government. What are those three organs? Very good, well done. So, executive, legislative, and judiciary, these are the three coordinated bodies. But they are also governed under the Constitution. So therefore, we'll have to make a scrutiny and audit of our experience during the years since 1972. That whether we have been proceeding on the right track or not. So this constitutional audit, this legal audit need to be done, and that audit, I think I'm going to give you this task and under the guidance of your distinguished faculty, that audit has to be made, and that should be your next course, that audit of the governance by the constitution of the Constitution. We agree to conduct an audit. At the end of the year, one always makes an audit. In our country, you don't do the legal audit. And that's the most important part of it. We do not make any constitutional audit either. So that the country is being run without an audit. An audit of all three organs. So if the people have the power, as the Constitution says, and we also agree, right? All the power belongs to people. Then people must have a mechanism how to make an audit, not merely financial audit, but constitutional audit. And that is missing. So therefore, I would like to encourage the faculty, and I would like to work with the faculty and with the students if you would like to embark on such an enterprise. The martial law revisited in Bangladesh, because that was a history of Pakistan inflicted with the violation of the constitution and having the military regime or another. So our liberation struggle, our freedom struggle, our war of independence was against that history and that lack of people's power being overshadowed by the army rule. In spite, I write this, in spite of all these principles of constitutional supremacy enshrined in the Constitution and acclaimed by our courts, the people of Bangladesh could not avoid the misfortune of having two martial law periods covering 9 years out of 25. Constitution was also fiddled with and damaged in the so-called legitimization process in the name of amendments in violation of the fundamental structure of the Constitution. Regarding the manipulation of Constitution in Bangladesh, two different streams follow. One which transgresses the limits imposed by the doctrine of fundamental structure. The other relates to a normative question as to whether an act which is inherently unconstitutional, aimed at usurping power through unconstitutional means, be treated as a source of lawmaking. So, can you imagine in the Bangladesh Constitution, after having sacrificed so many lives, of the people in our liberation struggle, we got this constitution. And can you imagine that this will be run by an unconstitutional authority in violation of the constitutional laws? More questions is after regime be given de jure status through any constitutional engineering. The de facto government বলতে যেটা বলি যেটা ঘাড়ে চেপে পড়ছো হঠাৎ করে এসে আর de jure হচ্ছে you come through the constitutional process to proper election. এই de facto regime de jure status fight করে. There exists no provision in the constitution whereby the army can take over the power. Not just taking over, can be validated in any form. Yet attempts are made to insert a validation clause in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. A schedule which is limited to and meant for transitional and temporary provision of the pre-constitutional era and the period till the Constitution could come into effect. ওই সময় যে একটা ইন্টিগ্রাল পিরিয়ড ছিল সেজন্য আমরা শিডিউল 4 এ রেখেছি যে those can be validated যেগুলো pre-constitutional এরাতে to say that they have been also adopted. They are meant to include any post-constitutional period for validation, not a validation in an ad interim infinitum manner, thereby permitting negation of constitution and so-called validation itself a violation of the Constitution. The first martial law proclamation dated August 2075 was made after the overthrow of the constitutional government on August 15, 1975, accompanied with the gruesome killing and massacre of the father of the nation and his family members, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur and his family members, followed by the killing of 4 national leaders in prison. Kandikar Mushtaq Ahmed was not in the line of constitutional succession, yet after having assumed the office of the president with the support of a section of the army officers, placed the whole of Bangladesh under martial law. He, as an usurper, continued to rule till a military uprising took place on 6 November 75, when the office of the president of Bangladesh was made over to the Chief Justice of the Third Justice, M. Sain. Strange as it may sound, Chief Justice assumed the powers of Chief Marshal Administrator and issued on November 8, 1975, the second martial law proclamation. Introducing these areas of our history, however black that it may be, is very important for our new generations to know the history, that what had happened to us, how our constitution and the nation has been crippled by this kind of violation, constitutional norms, and once the constitutional norms are violated, so are the norms of the society gets degenerate. Role of the Supreme Court and that of the Chief Justice vis-a-vis the usurpation of power. It is an irony of history that despite being the custodian of the Constitution, Chief Justice of Pakistan, I'm talking about 1958, and laid foundation for abrogation of the Constitution and promulgation of martial law in 1958. Through series of judgments and opinions given since 1955, and in Bangladesh, another custodian, the Chief Justice Sain, himself in violation of the soul, stepped into the shoes of the Chief Martial Law Administrator. So the Chief Justice of Pakistan also faltered, and so did our first Chief Justice, Justice Sain, was the one that we fought, and proclaimed our independence. And it's that proclamation followed by the Constitution. So that's what I'm showing. Poetic is this scenario of tragedy. Mrs. Sain was made to play the role of like the Lieutenant General Iskandar Mirza during Pakistan era. Iskandar Mirza ইতিহাস জানা আছে নাকি? Iskandar Mirza প্রথমে ক্ষমতা দখল করে তারপরে he gave it to So that was also in our case. The history repeats itself, but not exactly. That's what we say. And this Sain was made to played the role of the Lieutenant General Scandinavia during Pakistan era for handing over the power to the army chief, already holding the post of Deputy Chief Marshal Administrator, without perhaps realizing that he was made to hold the office merely to allow the time for the ultimate beneficiary, the army chief, Lieutenant General Ziaur Rahman, taking time only to cool his feet. So she অবস্থা হিস্ট্রি কিভাবে রিপিট করছে এত বড় মুক্তিযুদ্ধ হলো এত বড় সমস্ত সংবিধান রচনা করলাম এত বড় ড্রিম আমাদের সেটা কি করে রিভার্স হলো একই ধরনের ঘটনা যেটা ঘটেছিল পাকিস্তান সেটা এখানে রিপিটেড হলো instead of scrapping the entire constitution as was the case in 1958 and 69 in Pakistan, Bangladesh constitution was made subservient to the martial law proclamation in 1975 and the orders made under it. যতবারই সামরিক শাসন এসেছে কনস্টিটিউশনসকে এভাবে আন্ডারলাইন করা হয়েছে role of the Supreme Court vis-a-vis the role of usurer. Halima Khatun versus Bangladesh, the case, the 30-day Supreme Court 207, I would suggest and recommend that all these cases will be hiding in your bookshelves. That these are all dearer cases. Halima Khatun case, I recommend to read all the cases that are cited here. That will give you a base for the constitutional law and the derogations, how that has been handled at the court, and how the court failed to properly handle those cases, and how ultimately this was resolved in the case, which is known as the Moon Cinema case by Justice Abdullah Choudhury. Three of these cases, so I put them together for your convenience. In Halima Khatun's case, a preliminary question was defined, but in view of abandoned property, supplementary provisions regulation 1977, the restrictions which are already pending have abated. On behalf of the appellant, it was argued that whatever may be the law making authority of the new regime, it could not nullify the constitutional jurisdiction of the High Court division and order made under the proclamation. The Supreme Court decided that under the proclamation, the Constitution lost its character as the supreme law of the country. And that is our court interpreting the Constitution and said that it lost its character as the supreme law of the country. And so you see the Howard Court totally reversed and taking the oath to defend this Constitution, and they are now defeating the Constitution. So that's the typically Bengali psyche. Never I've seen any other country in the history. যে আমাদের খুব সময় লাগে না we take the oath in order to break it and in order to manipulate the system and manipulate oneself and thereby degrading ourselves. So talk about the Bengali psyche general terms. যে আমি দেখি একটা শুনি একটা পড়ি একটা বুঝ করি একটা আর বুঝতেই একটা এটা আমার যে 5 রকমের রোল একই মানুষের ভিতরে একই ঘটনা থেকে কেন্দ্র করে এই যে কাজটা আমরা করি এটা বেঙ্গলি সাইকি ছাড়া আর কোথাও কিন্তু পাওয়া যায় না So why is this so? এটা কেন আমার প্রশ্ন এটা আমি চেষ্টা করি বুঝবার জন্য কেন আমরা এই একসময় খুব দুর্বল ছিলাম এখন দুর্বল থাকার কথা না তো আমাদের ওই ছেলে ঘুমানো বানানোর জন্য পরে গেল দেশে হ্যাঁ তারপরে আর দিন সবর করে রসুন করেছি তো what does it signify? Signify হচ্ছে যে বর্গীরা আসছে আমরা মোকাবেলা করতে পারছি না সেই জন্য বলছি যে এখন তো দিতে পারছি না কিন্তু আমাদের রসুন করেছি রসুন হচ্ছে আমাদেরকে বর্গীতে দিয়ে দেবো মানুষেরা প্রচুর বহুবার বাংলাদেশকে আক্রমণ করেছে ইতিহাস আপনারা জানেন এবং আমরা we are not that brave and equipped as a disciplined force আমরা এই ফসল তৈরি করেছি আমাদের খেতে আমাদের মানুষের মানুষের যে ভাতৃত্ব সৌহার্দ্য ছিল, আমরা গান গিয়েছি, সুখে মাছ ধরেছি, পুকুর থেকে নদীতে আমরা গোসল করেছি, সাঁতার কেটেছি, আমরা সেরকম একটা সুখী জাতি ছিলাম। কিন্তু আমাদের এরকম একটা মোকাবেলা করতে হয়নি। তো আমরা তো সেই মোকাবেলাটা করেছি, যেটা আমরা বর্গীদের সময় করতে পারি না। আমাদের তো সেটা 1971 সালে তো আমরা সেই স্বাধীনতা যুদ্ধ করেছি, মোকাবেলা করেছি। তো আমরা তো ওই জায়গাটাতে থাকতে পারি না। যখন আমাদের পিতা মাতাদের বলতে হতো, যার প্রতিদিন শুরু কর, ছেলে বলো পড়াশোনা করে গিয়ে দেশ, এই যে দেখাতো, সেই অবস্থা তো আমার নেই। কিন্তু আমাদের ওই জায়গাটা থেকে আমরা এখনো রয়ে গেছি বলে মনে হয়, যে বুঝছি একটা, বুঝতেছি আর একটা। তো এই জায়গা থেকে বেরিয়ে আসতে পারা যায় কিনা। So it's more a psychological, motivational factor. It's a more personality and personal dignity বিষয়। সেটা আমার নিজের ডক্টর 10 এপ্রিলের 10 এপ্রিলের যে ঘোষণাপত্র, এই ঘোষণাপত্রতে 3টি কথা আমি ব্যবহার করেছি। একটা কথা হচ্ছে হিউম্যান ডিগনিটি, এটা প্রথম কথা। তারপরে ইকুয়ালিটি, আর তারপরে আরেকটি কথা সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস। অতএব আমাদের স্বাধীনতা কেন ঘোষণা করলাম তার যুক্তি দেওয়ার জন্য, যে আমাদের এই 3টি জিনিস রক্ষা করবার জন্য আমরা স্বাধীনতা ঘোষণা করছি। আর বঙ্গবন্ধু করেছেন, আমরা সেটাকে কনফার্ম করছি প্রোক্লেমেশন দিয়ে। আর দুটো জিনিস বলছিলাম, টু হ্যাভ এ নিয়মানুগ এবং নিয়মতান্ত্রিক, অর্ডারলি অ্যান্ড জাস্ট গভর্নমেন্ট। এই 5টি কথা একটু নোট করেন। আর হচ্ছে ইকুয়ালিটি, হিউম্যান ডিগনিটি, ইকুয়ালিটি আর সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস। আর দুটো কথা গভর্নমেন্টের বেলায় আমাদের এই 3টে কথা, ন্যায়ানুগ আর নিয়মানুগ। So orderly and just government. তাহলে 5টা উপাদান। 3টা হচ্ছে আমাদের প্রতিটি মানুষের ভিতরে থাকতে হবে, আর দুটো হচ্ছে যে orderly and just government আমরা কালেক্টিভলি করব। এই 5টি কথার উপরে কিন্তু এই সংবিধানটা তৈরি হয়েছে। So all of those you'll find based on those 5 words used in the Proclamation of Independence. So I go back to my paper. There is no doubt the express declaration was there in Article 7 of the Constitution to the following effect. And that inspect Article 7 and 11, a article খুব important. That all powers in the Republic belong to the people, and their exercise on behalf of the people shall be effected only under and by the authority of this Constitution. This Constitution is the solemn expression of the will of the people, the supreme law of the Republic. If any other law is inconsistent with the Constitution, that other law shall be to the extent of the inconsistency defined. That's Article 7. And then Article 11 is another very powerful and very important article. That the Republic shall be a democracy in which fundamental human rights and freedoms and respect for the dignity, which is dignity of the Proclamation of Independence and worth of the human person shall be guaranteed, and in which effective participation of the people through their elected representatives in administration at all levels shall be ensured. Article 7 and Article 11, both the rule of law and the democracy and the human rights, all these are included in Article 7 and Article 11 of the Constitution. Article 7 and Article 11. So this we must remember all the time, and we should always be able to utter that within your soul and blow it within your personality. And once you have a personality based on the constitutional norms, then you become a citizen in the true sense of the term. And without that, we are not actually the citizens. And unless we have a collective will, we are not actually people like. So in order to be a citizen, you have to blow those values within yourself, in your soul. And in order to have an identity of a people as a whole, you need that kind of solidarity for the entire people. So this is how that one should read the Constitution. Constitution is not a law book. Constitution is the soul of the Bangladesh itself. And if Constitution is lost, then Bangladesh is lost. We may lose and we may win. But once the soul of Bangladesh is lost in the wrong alley, then you lost everything. And that's what's happening. We're neither a citizen nor we are people. And therefore we cannot be a state worthy of our struggle for freedom. A similar was taken in the High Court division in this case of Sultan Ahmed as Chief Election Commissioner. Another bench of the High Court division in another case took a different view. When the conviction and the death sentence of 5 accused persons passed by the Special Martial Law Court was challenged on the ground that the proclamation of August 20, 1975 and Martial Resolution 1, having not provided for trial for the offences committed before the proclamation, that trial and conviction of the prisoner by the Special Martial Law Court was without jurisdiction. That was the plea taken in that case. So it will be interesting for you to read that case. The High Court division took the view that it could exercise all the powers and jurisdiction of the High Court as exercised under the Constitution, and those powers were not distributed even by the proclamation of martial law. Were not disturbed even by the proclamation of martial law. Notwithstanding clause G of the proclamation, outstanding the jurisdiction of a court. The High Court division came to the conclusion that the transfer of the case from Special Tribunal to Special Martial Law Court 11 was a nullity. An offence being committed before the proclamation could not be tried by Martial Law Court with retrospective effect. In coming to the conclusion that the Superior Court has jurisdiction, Mr. Justice Abdul Haider Chaudhry observed that the Constitution has not been abrogated. Only a certain part of it has been circumscribed by the martial law proclamation out of necessity. This martial law is a mere constitutional deviation and not one of Wellington near strike. State versus High journalism also referred and preferred an appeal. The appellate division by majority view allowed the appeal of the state and set as the order of the High Court division. The Buddha judgment refers to the appellate division. Try to expand this bonding of our constitutional values which put us together, which keep us together. We can never be divided. We can never be separated. We can never be doing the infighting. That must go away from the society. And whereas you are the crusaders. So when I come to the law faculty and the law students, I think we are fighting a crusade. We do in the courtrooms, but you are doing it, this intellectual exercise, to disseminate among the people. And that dissemination is the one that you must be an agent of the constitutional norms, the essence of the judgments which upheld the constitutions, and to be able to disseminate this culture among your friends, your families, your neighbors. And that's the task of the youth. That we cannot do. So I think that young people must be inspired by the Constitution to be the saviors of the Constitution. And so that is the, I think, the law students and the law faculty owe a challenging task when our Constitution is so undermined. Bangladesh case, another one. question of supremacy of the constitution is again raised in the case of Etesham in Bangladesh. This also an appeal by special leave directed against the judgment and order of the High Court Division in a Reed petition. The matter relates to a conviction awarding death sentence by a special martial law court. Question was raised as to the legality of the transfer of the case from Court of Sub-Divisional Magistrate to Special Martial Law Court. It was contended at the bar that the Constitution of Bangladesh, having allowed to be continued under the proclamation, retained its supremacy. The Attorney General, on the other hand, contended that the Constitution was allowed to be continued subject to proclamation and martial law regulation, and the Attorney General heavily relied upon the decision of the Supreme Court decided in the case. So this followed the chain of these cases. By this time, the case was heard, but the Supreme Court gave decision in Asma Jilani's case. That's a very famous case, you know, that case that usurper does, and that was the beginning of ending that that military jurisprudence, which was done in the case I mentioned earlier, Natosa's case. The Appellate Council therefore relied on the principle decided in this case in support of the submission. The precise question of Asma Jilani's case whether the High Court had jurisdiction under Article 98 of 62 Constitution of Pakistan to inquire into the validity of detention under martial law despite the bar of the jurisdiction of courts removal of Downs Order 1969. In replying to this issue, Chief Justice Hamid Rahman of Pakistan Supreme Court reversed the principle decided in Dosa's case, which এখান থেকে শুরু হয়েছিল with the utmost respect, therefore, I would agree with the criticism that the learned Chief Justice Muhammad Munir not only misapplied the doctrine of Hans Kelsen, but also delves into error that it was generally accepted doctrine of modern jurisprudence. Even the disciples of Kelsen have hesitated to go as far as Kelsen has gone. I am unable to resist the conclusion that he erred both in interpretation Kelsen's theory and applying the same to the fact, the circumstances of the case before him. The principle enunciated by him wholly unsustainable, and I am duty bound to say that it cannot be a good law either on the principle of stare decisis or even otherwise. So that Pakistan's both have quoted, কিন্তু বাংলাদেশ কোর্টের বোধহয় হতে সময় লেগেছে তারপর। Bangladesh Supreme Court bypassed the principle as laid down by the Chief Justice Hamid Rahman of Pakistan Supreme Court. The majority judgment of Bangladesh Court conceded to the supremacy of superior law, superior to the Constitution, and it was observed that neither the authority of the person who proclaimed martial law nor the virus of martial law regulation could be challenged at the bar, excepting arguing on the question of supremacy of the Constitution over the proclamation and martial law regulation. Hence, their lordships found no good reason for making extensive reference to Asma Jilani's case. In delivering the judgment in Etesham case, Bangladesh Supreme Court took notice of another case decided by Pakistan Supreme Court, Pakistan vs. Saeed Ahmed, in which the government made an objection as to the jurisdiction of the High Court to entertain the petition. This was decided at a time when an amendment was made in the interim constitution of Pakistan. Given the pen drive, you can take each one of you a copy. So read them carefully and read all the decisions. Then you are fortified with the constitutional law. So that's which is going to be a major part of learning the constitutional law. Once you have read these cases, you are very well fortified. The rest will follow automatically with you. Civilization process of the question of legitimacy. The so-called civilization process and ultimately allowing a so-called election was held in 1979, and the makeshift parliament was sworn in, but the constitution was restored in a mutilated form. All proceedings before a martial law court was safe and validated by the constitution Fifth Amendment Act 1979. All amendments, additions, modifications, etc. made in the Constitution, along with orders, actions and proceedings taken thereafter, were ratified and confirmed and by inserting them in the fourth schedule of the Constitution, which is meant only for saving some existing pre-constitutional laws. While the original Constitution was promulgated, Meanwhile, General Ziaur Rahman was killed in the aborted coup, and Mr. Sattar became the acting president and was elected the president, only to be deposed on 24th March 1982 by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Amirul Islam. So you can see that this military takeover and the shifts of the power came both in the cantonment and in Bongo Bhavan, whatever is taking place, all the dramas, they were able to do that because our judicial system, our judicial perceptions, our allegiance to the Constitution was so weak and so fragile. So our convictions are very, very fragile. So what I want to instill in you is not learning the Constitution, but instill the constitutional morality as a citizen. And once you have fortified that, the legal information you will easily get. That's no difficulty. But whether the theme of the Constitution is part of your vibration in your body system. When I say body system, it includes that intellect part in the body system. And that intellect, unless enriched by this constitutional law, you are not a citizen. So that's never said in this words before. So I'm inspired by you in order to, and as much more inspired by you by giving this instances of your personal experience to demonstrate what the rule of law is. So Constitution is nothing but the rule of law. It abiding, the obedience, and the subservience to the Constitution. So this has been, I said, the recurrence of the martial law. As he claimed, with help and mercy of Almighty Allah and blessings of great patriotic people, it unquote, took over and assumed full powers of the government of people, civil Bangladesh's chief marshal administrator. But the Sabta Shahid level, yes, I should cherish it. But look at the drama. Later, when you look at it, the ইতিহাস কিরকম ভাবে আমাকে মানে হন্ট করে, কেমন করে আমাকে প্রচন্ড ভাবে আন্ডারলাইন করে, এবং সেজন্য I have always remained a rebel against this kind of Bengali subservience. Bengalis are not meant to be subservient, and never after 1971.
সেটা পড়ানো হয়েছে
এটা প্রথম কোথা থেকে আপনারা স্ট্রেস করেন, কোথা থেকে মানে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল এখন এটি ইন্ডিয়ান সাবকন্টিনেন্টাল বেসিক স্ট্রাকচার is established in the judicial interpretation, কিন্তু এটা সূত্রপাত হয়েছিল ঢাকা থেকে। এটা সেই ঢাকা হাইকোর্টের কেসটা, that's the first case. I think you will get it in Jailer. Or shall I teach you how to direction? তো এইখানে প্রথমে যখন আইয়ুব খান ক্যাবিনেটে মন্ত্রী করেছিল, তখন Abdul Haq, his very good friend and colleague of mine, Mr. Abdul Haq, and he was also the MLA at that time, parliamentary, Ayyub Khan parliamentary. সেই সময় he filed this case against government. He being a member of the parliament now cannot become a minister. কারণ আইয়ুব যে মিনিস্ট্রি ছিল, সেই মিনিস্ট্রিতে তো ওই হ্যান্ডপিক লোকজন তারা মিনিস্ট্রি ছিল। তো সেই কেসে this is fundamental structure in presidential system, parliament and cabinet, it must be different. But the presidential system, you can put the parliament and the President's cabinet together, because there is a separation of power. Only in the cabinet system and the parliamentary system, the elected representative of the people, they can sit in the cabinet, but not in the presidential form. So that was the format, and that was the fundamental structure at that time of Irish constitution. And so that was by Dhaka High Court, Justice Mushad's judgment. And that judgment was referred in another case in the Indian Supreme Court. I'm forgetting the name of the case, but this fundamental structure has become a new concept. And that now is been very helpful for the judiciary in order to remove those obstacles that's been created. Case rendering amendment of Article 100 void was extremely bold in the context of the prevailing socio-economic and political scenario. It received admiration from all quarters and was considered a great victory which not only upheld the cause of justice but also reaffirmed the constitutional supremacy as contemplated under Article 7. Furthermore, this judgment reaffirmed the doctrine of basic structure. So this has become a very handy maiden for the constitutional judges and the lawyers. Concepts old as the making of the constitution expounded by Chief Justice Marshall in Marbury versus Medicine's case. Eta chole gechi ekhane American jurisprudence er bhitore এবং Marbury versus Medicine's er shomoy je eta hoyechilo ekta appointment diyechilo president was making some apostles, so that was a challenge. It is only natural that the appellate division reaffirmed this principle, which once originated in Dhaka High Court, which you call it Dhaka High Court, in the 1960s. Which Shardashaker Ghotona, Sheta, a judgment reflected who and relied on the Madison's case. In developing this concept of basic structure, Indian Supreme Court referred to the decision of Pakistan's 36 said, এটা Honorable versus Bangladesh, 18CX. এখানে নোটগুলো দিয়ে দিয়েছি। Yet there were other elements, such as the remaining part of the 8th Amendment, making Islam as the state religion. The 5th and 7th Amendment ratifying the unconstitutional actions by validating acts which are inherently unconstitutional need scrutiny. Similarly, the 4th Amendment was effective. The independence of judiciary have not undergone the scrutiny of the life of the doctrine of fundamental structure. Ershad Shahid Islam is a state religion করলো, যত যারা এই দুষ্কর্ম দুর্নীতি এবং সংবিধান ভঙ্গ করেছে তারা সেটার নেয় কিন্তু ধর্মের আছে। And here is the case that এখনো রয়ে গেছে এবং এটা থেকে কিছুতে বেরিয়ে আসতে পারছে। বর্তমান সরকার তারাও অ্যামেন্ডমেন্ট এনেছে কিন্তু অনেকটা হোয়াইট ওয়াশ করার মতো, কিন্তু এটাকে একত্রিত করি তাহলে ধর্মেরও ক্ষতি হয় এবং রাষ্ট্রেরও ক্ষতি হয়, কারণ ধর্ম ভিতরে রাজনীতি ঢুকে যায় আর রাজনীতির ভিতরে ধর্ম ঢুকে যায়, and that creates a concoction which is very harmful for the society. Heroes and heroines, you must say. Let's give it answer. And new generation. So I am advocating for new generation. So I am an advocate for you. I am not the advocate of the old judges or many of my present colleagues. So I am going to be an advocate for your generation, right? For future generation. কি বলে সাইড নিউজের বাংলাটা চাও বাংলা খুব সুন্দর বালুর কি বালুর ঢিপি বালুর ঢিপি নয়, আমরা যে বালুর ঢিপি নয় সেটা আমাদের মন করতে হবে. That's not sand dunes. 12th Amendment of the Constitution introducing the parliamentary form of government as being the part of the demand. সেটা আমি একটা এখানে ইঙ্গিত দিয়েছি. In order to understand the message of the Constitution, it's most important to know the history and background in which the Constitution was originally drafted by the framers. Proclamation of Independence চলে যাবে প্রথম, যে স্বাধীনতার ঘোষণাপত্র আমরা কি করেছিলাম। বঙ্গবন্ধুর যে স্বাধীনতার ঘোষণা 26শে মার্চ দেওয়া হলো, আমরা সেটা 10শে এপ্রিল এটাকে একটা সাংবিধানিক দলিলে পরিণত করলাম, and thereby confirm the declaration of independence already made by Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and to hereby affirm and resolve that till such time a constitution is framed, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman shall be the President of the Republic, and that Amirul Islam shall be the Vice President of the Republic, and the President shall be Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of the Republic, and shall exercise all executive and legislative powers of the Republic, including the power to grant pardon, shall have the power to appoint Prime Minister and such other ministers as he considers necessary, shall have the power to levy taxes, expend monies, shall have the powers to summon, and shall have and exercise all the powers, duties, and responsibilities around the President. We further resolve that we undertake to observe and give effect to all duties and obligations that befall upon us as a member of the family of nations and to abide by the Charter of the United Nations. We are the only elected government and the legal government of that time in Bangladesh. আমাকে বহু লোকে জিজ্ঞেস করতো যে ফর্ম করলে তোমাদের আমি তখন এই কথাটা বলতাম যে আমাদের গভর্নমেন্ট ফর্ম করেছি আমরা প্রোক্লেমেশনের মাধ্যমে we are the only elected government. The other part of Pakistan, they are usurper. অতএব হেয়া খান শুধুমাত্র লেজিসলেসি পেতে পারত যদি আমরা কনস্টিটিউশন তৈরি করে তাকে একটা ইন্ডেমনিটি দিতাম, কারণ সে ক্ষমতা দখল করেছে ইউজারপার হিসাবে। অতএব সে একটা ইলেকশন দিয়ে আমাদেরকে লেজিটিমাইজ করছিল না, ইলেকশন দিয়ে সে নিজেকে লেজিটিমাইজ করতে পারত। যদি আমরা একটা কনস্টিটিউশন করতে পারতাম তাহলে আমরা তাকে লেজিটিমাইজ করতে পারতাম। সো হি ইজ এন এলিজিবল গভর্নমেন্ট। এই কথাটা আমি খুব বিদেশি ডিপ্লোম্যাটস যারা আসতেন কলকাতায় দেখা করতে, পার্লামেন্টের মেম্বাররা সিনেটররা আসতেন বিদেশ থেকে, তো এই প্রশ্নগুলো সাংবাদিকরা করতে লাগলো যে উই আর দ্য অনলি legitimate government. The 12 wise Khan was declared to be abandoned property. Though the holding number 12 was released later, holding number 11 housing the Moon Cinema House was not released. The petitioner challenged the order declaring the said property as abandoned. The High Court Division in Petition number 67 of 76 directed the respondents to hand over the possession in favor of the petitioners. In due course, Minister of Justice deleted the 11 wise guard from the list of abandoned property and released that in favor of the petitioner with a direction to the Freedom Fighters Welfare Association to hand over the possession. But the association filed a petition for a special legal appeal number 291 of 77, which was dismissed on 21/78. Even then, as need to win is through the reinforcement of the constitutional jurisprudence and constitutional norms in our social, our political, our economic transactions. Shows the jargon, the rule of law, যেটা অস্ট্রেলিয়ান যে citations গুলো fill. And these are the milestones. However high you are under the law. And I solicit your support. I solicit your support and continuing exercise on these aspects of the as a follow-up. অতএব আমার এই পেপারটা দিয়ে যাচ্ছি for you to do your own writing and your own follow-up and try to look into the areas where the darkness still prevails and how we overcome those darkness. Thanks very much for giving me this question.